Hello again, YouTube. Today we are going to make these in the hoop skull bags. They are zippered and completely lined. They're very cute. And when you download the file, you will get complete step-by-step instructions with pictures. We are going to start with the cutting list. Alright, so this is all of our fabric cut out. On our sample bag, I used white fabric and a white zipper. On this bag, I decided to go with black. So this will be our outside fabric, this will be our lining fabric, and this will be our batting that we'll use. I've also, for once, decided to match. So I have a black zipper to go with my black fabric. Also, as always, no metal teeth and no big plastic chunky teeth. Your sewing machine cannot sew through those, so it needs to be the little tiny plastic ones. It has to be at least 7 inches. It can be longer, but not shorter. You will also need plenty of thread, scissors, and you really will need to have straight pins for this bag. You will also need some spray basting spray. The bag we are making today is going to go in our 5x7 hoop. This is poly mesh. This is fusible poly mesh because it's what I have. You can use non-fusible too. You cannot use tearaway because we won't be able to tear it away. If you can use cutaway as well, but what happens if you use cutaway, the front of your bag becomes a little stiffer. The poly mesh makes it a little makes it have a little more give. So it's up to you what you want to use and what you have on hand. But this is our poly mesh hoop, and we're going to go over to the machine and start stitching. Alright, we are over at the machine. It is going to put our outline and our placement stitch for our zipper. So our machine has stitched its outline. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our zipper teeth facing up and our zipper pull over here to the left. We're going to place it in between the guidelines, and we are going to tape it into place. We are then going to go back over to the machine, and the machine is going to stitch on either side of our zipper to hold it into place. So I removed it from the machine. It stitched out 2 stitches to hold our zipper into place. I wanted to clarify something I said on another video. It said if it stitched through the tape, it was no big deal. It is no big deal if it stitches through this blue tape, the low tack tape. I wouldn't just slap it on here and say, oh, it'll be okay. But if it nicks a couple of stitches, it's okay. If you put this down and your machine sews through it, it is a big deal. Your machine will not like it, and it will gum up your machine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove the tape from our zipper since it's stitched into place. We're going to flip it over to the back, and we are going to take our lining fabric. It is going to be, mine doesn't have a right and a wrong side, but if it does, you're going to place it right side down, so the right side will be away from you. You are going to put it level with the bottom of the zipper, which is going to be the bottom stitch here. So you're going to place it level with this. We're going to tape it into place, and you are also going to flip it over, and we're going to pin it. So you're going to take it and you're going to pin it to your stabilizer to make sure it stays up and doesn't get caught and do anything crazy. You're going to take, this is my fabric for the outside of my bag. You are going to place your right side down again, and we're going to place it even with the bottom of the zipper again. And we are going to tape it into place. The machine is going to stitch it into place. Alright, so we just removed it from the machine. It's stitched along this line, and what it has done is it's attached our lining fabric and our outside fabric together. These are all of our 6x6 pieces. You're going to take your spray basting spray and lightly spray it. This is our 6x6 piece of batting. What we're going to do is we're going to place it even with the line it just stitched. It's a bit hard to see since I did it in black. You're also going to remove your tape. All right. And now what we're going to do is spray again. This stuff goes everywhere. It's awesome, but it goes everywhere. So just keep that in mind. So don't go crazy and spray everything. A little will go a long way. Now you're going to lay it all down and flatten it out. Now, the next couple of steps are going to be stitching all of this out. But you got to remember, our fabric isn't hooped. So you need to pin it all into place so that you don't end up with a wrinkled mess. So you're going to make sure you can use you can feel the bottom to see where your stitches are going to, your lining is. And make sure your straight pins are outside of it. But you need to make sure you have pins in here to keep your fabric from moving. Or else you'll just have a wrinkled skeleton base. Alright, so we're going to go back to the machine. It is going to stitch out everything on the front of the bag. Alright, one other thing is your lining should still be pinned up here. And this is what the back of your frame should look like. It's going to stitch all in this, and we'll flip this down and stitch them together. So off to the machine we go. So all of this stitching got done on our bag. Looks pretty cool. What we're going to do now is remove all of these pins. And this pin up here holding our lining fabric in place. We're going to flip it over to the back. We're going to remove our tape. We're going to fold this down, and we want it to be nice and level and nice and evenly pulled. No like something like this. So we want it evenly pulled. And let's tape it. That is my puppy. We're going to pull this over here. We're going to just pin this for good measure. Just in case. We're going to put it back in the machine, and it is going to top stitch along here to hold this fabric and our lining fabric together. Moved it from the machine. The machine has top stitched, and basically that top stitch is holding this is our outside fabric. It's holding it together with our lining fabric. Also, for this bag, I decided to do it on matching. So it's a black thread and a black zipper and black fabric. Now, normally I do contrasting zippers and thread, but this one I decided to match. You can do whatever you want to. And basically we're going to repeat the process again to do the top of our bag. So we're going to flip it over to the back. You're going to take your lining fabric and place it right side down. We're going to put it even with our zipper. So this is our placement stitch for our zipper. We're going to place it even with that. And we're just going to tape it into place. And then I tape it down here too, just to make sure it doesn't get caught up when you put it in the machine. We're going to flip over to the front, and we're going to do the same thing with our outside fabric. You would place it right side down if you have a right and a wrong side. And we're going to just tape it into place. Our machine is going to stitch along that top of the fabric, and it's going to hold it into place. Alrighty, so we've got a stitch here. It's in black, so it's hard to see. We're going to remove our tape, and we are going to spray base this into our batting into place. So lightly spray. Don't go crazy with this stuff. You're going to place your batting into place and put it even along that line you just stitched out. It's my puppy coming to say hello. Press your batting into place, and you're going to spray again, and we're going to flip our fabric up. And push it into place. Now we're going to pin it. You can use the back to feel where your outline is at and just pin it into place. Now, like before, we're not going to do anything to the back of the lining. We're going to leave it, and then we're going to go put this back in the machine, and we're going to stitch out the top part. Alright, so it's done stitching this top piece. You're going to remove these top pins. We're going to flip it over to the back and remove our tape. Our tape. We're going to flip, this is our lining piece, we're going to flip it up and we're going to tape it. So make sure it's pulled tight. We're going to tape it, we taped it into place. We're going to flip it over. It's going to stitch out a top stitch again. So I will have changed my thread back in my machine to black. So it's going to top stitch and it's going to stitch our outside fabric to our lining fabric. Alright, so our machine has top stitched our little design here. We are now going to open our zipper more than halfway. Your machine's going to want to pull to center. That's why it needs to be a little bit more than halfway, but remember it's going to stitch over here where your lines meet. So you don't want it too close over there either. If you wish to add some sort of strap, now is the time. I'm just going to use some ribbon. And what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that the loop part of your strap is inside your bag. And what you're going to do is you're going to tape part of it outside and tape the other part inside your bag. And you can put it wherever you want to. You can kind of get an idea of where your bag is going to stitch. What we're going to do now is we are going to put our, that's my puppy. We're going to put our outside fabric on top. If you have a right side, it would be right side down, and it needs to cover all of your stitching. So cover all your stitching, and then you're going to put your batting on top of that. This is the Chameleon batting. Again, if you have a favorite type of batting, you go use it. Now you're going to take your pins and you're going to pin through all of this at the corners, because nothing's going to be stitched in the corners of your frame. Because you want to make sure that you are holding all of this together. And I'll flip over to the back and show you what I mean in a minute. Alright, so you're going to pin and make sure that all your lining has been pinned as well. We're going to go back to the machine, and the machine is going to stitch out an outline all the way around of our skull. Alright, so we have an outline all the way around of our skull. You're going to take your pins out, and we are going to flip on the back of our little bag here. You have this piece right here that you have to remove, or else you won't be able to open your bag. So I've taken my good old applique scissors and just cut it away. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this is our lining fabric. If you have a right side, it'll be right side down. You're going to take it and cover all of you're obviously going to cover your outline. If you don't, you will have a hole in your back. Let's tape it on the back. And then we'll flip to the front and go and repin it in all those corners. So that's what the back of your frame should look like, and it's going to stitch our lining. Now, what's going to happen this time is it's going to stitch around, and it's going to leave an opening at the bottom. Alright, so our skull is all stitched. I am going to remove it from the hoop. I've already removed all the pins, but apparently not the tape. Alright, so you remove the tape too. Alright, now what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut around the outside of your bag. You're going to want to leave some extra fabric down here at the bottom where there's the opening to make it a little easier for you when you've got to turn it under. Alright, since your bag has some curves in it, what you're going to want to do is go back with your scissors and make some little bitty cuts so that your bag will be more likely not to bind on the other side. I want to leave some more fabric than I did, but you get the idea. Alright. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take your opening and you're going to flip your bag basically inside out. Alright, so this is our bag, and basically this is the inside of our bag that we just flipped out. Make sure you take special care to get these guys turned out, or else it's not going to look so hot. And that's our strap coming through. Now you have to turn this under, and technically you're supposed to hand sew it, but I think hand sewing is a form of torture. So this is what I use. Basically it's double sticky tape, and you don't have to iron it. So, but you can use any number of products that you want to use. This is just the one that I prefer. So cut it however long you need it. It is very sticky stuff. Alright. So what I do is I stick it and then turn everything under like you want it to go. So we'll get everything lined up like it's supposed to be. Then come over and pick some of it off. Pick your end off. You see it because it's clear. And then squish your two sides together. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our bag right side out. So open your zipper all the way and flip it. So that is our complete skull bag. It's pretty cool in the black. I like it. So that's our black one. This was done on some off-white fabric with some a little more non-traditional colors. And this one's your more traditional white one with a black. If you like our video, please like and subscribe and all that jazz. We hope to be back with more soon.